It is the first day of February 2023. A very warm welcome to this edition of TV47 News Tonight. Well, we have a lot lined up for you in the world of politics, business, and so much more ahead. But first, let's have a look at the highlights. Tonight, allies of President William-Ruto initiate an audit of the properties owned by the Kenyatta family that have allegedly been avoiding taxes.
Katiba yetu imesema ya kuwa ni lazima kila mtu alipe ushuru. Na ni wewe kama mtu binafsi na makampuni pia.
With some seeking to amend the Estate Duty Act to remove the tax exemption for former heads of state. Jubilee party to hold its first parliamentary group meeting on Friday after the 2022 presidential election. The party's future leadership expected to dominate meeting following a group of party leaders visiting President William-Ruto at State House in Nairobi. Also, the government launches a major water project aimed at addressing the drought crisis in arid and semi-arid counties in the country.
We are facing a ravaging drought. Our people are staring at death.
The project is expected to provide over 1 million people in northern Kenya with access to water. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Eric Munene. Our sign language interpreter at the bottom end of your screen is Catherine Simaloi. We begin. Allies of President William-Ruto have hit out at former President Uhuru Kenyatta over his response to attacks by Kenya Kwanza politicians over tax evasion allegations. Some allies of the president have even kick-started a process to amend the Estate Duty Act that exempts former heads of state from paying taxes. Flora Limuki kick-starts this bulletin tonight.
President William-Ruto and the former head of state Uhuru Kenyatta have treated the country to a debate on individuals that are evading tax payments in the country. This being occasioned by the re-embarking of the Azimio Brigade on anti-government rallies, a move that President Ruto has alleged is being orchestrated by the former head of state.
Even if they sponsor demonstrations so that they don't pay tax, I want to promise them they will pay tax.
There are people who talk a lot about what they will do and do nothing.
President William-Ruto's first months in office have been compounded by the return of anti-government protests being spearheaded by the opposition coalition led by Azimio leader Raila Odinga. His predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta has also chimed in, terming the new regime as not well versed with issues directly affecting Kenyans.
Hii watu wanapiga mdomo, wacha wapige bana. Unajua mtu ambaye hana kitu kingine ya kufanya lazima apige mdomo. Wacha wapige mdomo.
Lakini kama umefanya jambo ambalo ni kinyume cha sheria na sheria imekufikia, mkono wa sheria uambiwa ni mrefu. Ukikufikia usilialie na usituambie tunapiga kelele.
Uhuru's sentiments, the first against his successor, has elicited reactions around the nation, especially after responding directly to President William-Ruto concerning his family dodging paying taxes.
Na usifikirie utatutisha ati na mikutano ya kisiasa na maandamano. Kama wakati ulikuwa ofisini hukututisha ya kutosha, sasa unafikiria ndio saa hii utaweza kututisha sisi ati tusikwambie ukweli? Tutakwambia na utasikia.
The allies of President now seemingly sustaining the war against the outgoing president, with Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei writing to the clerk of the Senate proposing amendments to the Estate Duty Act, which prohibits certain families from paying tax on inherited land. According to Cherargei, the act should be amended to include minorities, marginalized, and persons with disability. However, Article 210 of the 2010 Constitution contradicts this, since it authorizes that no one is to be excluded from a payment of tax by any reason.
Katiba yetu imesema ya kuwa ni lazima kila mtu alipe ushuru. Na ni wewe kama mtu binafsi na makampuni pia.
On Tuesday, Nyandarua Senator John Medhu initiated a process by writing to Kenya Revenue Authority requesting all Kenyatta family business deals be subjected to an audit. The business in question by the senator include the merger of Commercial Bank of Africa Limited (CBA) and NIC Group (NIC Bank), approved by the Central Bank on 27th August 2019. The former being owned by the Kenyatta family, and also Brookside Dairy Limited, NK Investments Limited, and the buying of the 5G specific spectrum license. Flora Limuki, TV 47.
Well, the Court of Appeal has vacated orders by the High Court directing Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to forfeit 202 million shillings over claims of corruption and money laundering. Instead, the court has ordered that the monies be wired back to the DP's accounts.
The Assets Recovery Authority tabled new evidence at the Court of Appeal, indicating that the money was earned legitimately after the companies associated with Rigathi Gachagua delivered on the respective tenders.
9 and accused 10 faced a second count of fraudulent acquisition of public property, contrary to Section 45(1)(a), as read with Section 48 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act.
In a sworn affidavit presented to the court, Frederick Musyoki of ARA noted that based on the withdrawal of the criminal case against Gachagua, the agency conducted investigations and found evidence that satisfactorily explained the source and legitimacy of the funds acquired. Among the state agencies that had paid money to Gachagua's accounts include the Ministries of Health and Lands, county governments of Bungoma and Nyeri, Madira Constituency Development Fund, the National Irrigation Board, and the Kenya Power and Lighting Company. A 3-judge bench led by Justice Daniel Musinga had ruled that 202 million shillings be wired back to 3 accounts belonging to Rigathi Gachagua and another 1.1 million shillings reverted back to Rafiki Microfinance, registered as Gene Enterprises. Before the 2022 general elections, Gachagua and his close allies had defended him from the allegations, further claiming that his wars were politically instigated.
Na hii maneno yote ya Rigathi Gachagua ni kama ile nilikuwa nayo, kama ile Moses Kuria alikuwa nayo, kama ile almost all the members of our team wamekuwa nayo. Ukionekana na deputy president, haraka unaanza kuchunguzwa.
The move comes soon after the director of public prosecutions, Nurdin Haji, withdrew corruption charges against Gachagua, saying there was not enough evidence to sustain the trial.
We apply that the cash bail be refunded to the first accused and his passport be released to him.
There being no objection to the substantive application by the prosecution to have the matter withdrawn under Section 87A of the Criminal Procedure Code, the application is hereby granted.
Sylvia Nyongasa, TV 47.
Away from politics now, a Nakuru man is pleading with well-wishers for help after his wife gave birth to 5 children at the same time. His wife, Margaret Wairimu, delivered quintuplets of 4 girls and a boy on Tuesday evening at the Nakuru Level 5 hospital, the highest multiple birth ever in the history of the facility. Chichi Josephine tells us more.
It is the first highest multiple birth ever in the history of Nakuru Level 5 hospital, as 25-year-old Margaret Wairimu delivered quintuplets of 4 girls and a boy last evening after being rushed to the theatre at the facility.
As at 31st January, which is yesterday, she progressed into labor, and we immediately prepared her for emergency cesarean section because of the presentation of the pregnancy. We went ahead, took her to theatre, and we successfully delivered 5 children, that is quintuplets. 4 of them were female and 1 male.
Dr. Aisha Maina, the medical superintendent at the hospital, says that the mother was received at the facility on January 27th. The mother and her bundles of joy are still in the medical facility and in good condition.
We have proceeded to have the babies in our specialized newborn unit, whereby management is ongoing. So far, we are doing our best and we are trying to save all their lives.
Simon Ndungu, the father to the children, who works as a matatu driver at 2NK Sacco, explained that they were planning for their second child, as he expressed his shock and excitement after being elevated to a father of 6 up from 1, and for him it came as a pleasant surprise.
Hatukuwa tunatarajia watoto 5, lakini ni baraka. Mungu ndo ametenda. hayo matendo.
Dr. James Waweru, the obstetrician in charge of the maternity unit at the hospital, said that in multiple births, chances of survival are lower due to low birth weight, as he noted that the babies were placed under specialized newborn unit and are in a stable condition.
The biggest challenge is that because of the weight of the babies, they tend to be delivered before the due date, and that increases the risk of prematurity and also the risk of poor development in the early stages.
So far, because of the gestation period of 25 weeks, we know that the babies were of very low weight and were immature, especially the organs. Therefore, we have proceeded to have the babies in our specialized newborn unit, whereby management is ongoing. Even with twins, triplets or whatever.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Them the time, let them get.
Now, former President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee party is this Friday expected to hold a parliamentary group meeting, the first for the party after last year's 2022 presidential election. Insiders in their once powerful party say the meeting will focus on the party's future leadership after a section of the party leaders visited President William-Ruto at State House, Nairobi, where they declared their support to the government, as Apollo Kamau now tells us.
With former President Uhuru Kenyatta's captaincy of the Jubilee party still unclear after reports emerged late last year on his resignation as a party leader early this year, the once powerful ruling party will go back to the drawing board this Friday when it holds its first parliamentary group meeting after last year's general election, despite President William Ruto laughing off its existence compared to its heyday. Party insiders say former President Kenyatta will not be attending the meeting. With news of his resignation still unclear, Kenyatta fired a warning shot to President William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza administration, a sign that he is still loyal to Jubilee and Azimio.
Na wewe Steve, usijali hii watu wanapiga mdomo, acha wapige bana. Unajua mtu ambaye hana kitu kingine ya kufanya lazima apige mdomo. Acha wapige mdomo. Hiyo ni dunia. Sisi tunaendelea na yetu.
Kenyatta's move has elicited discontent in the Kenya Kwanza camp, with Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei asking President Ruto to ask Kenyatta to step down as peace envoy in the DRC peace process for undermining the government in the ongoing tax evasion part. The PG meeting also comes in the backdrop of two high-profile meetings between a section of Jubilee leaders, first with Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and a joint one with President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy at State House Nairobi, where they declared support for Kenya Kwanza government, a move that has left the party leadership unsettled.
Na watu wengine wapige safari, hiyo wataenda, wakifika huko tutawakuta, tutawafurusha.
Despite the leaders claiming they have not decamped from the opposition to join the government side, the leaders have been conspicuously missing from Azimio rallies, a key agenda in Friday's PG meeting. The party, which will be relocating from its troubled Pangani headquarters to a new office in Kileleshwa, is seeking to revamp and recruit more members, according to a statement by Party Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, in what he says will mold and nurture the next generation of Jubilee party leaders. Apol Kamau, TV47.
Now, the standoff between county governors and the National Treasury is yet to end after the Council of Governors maintained its stand on the county's shareable revenue, where the county chiefs want an increment of 55 billion shillings from 370 billion to 425 billion shillings. The governors held a meeting with Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua Wednesday afternoon in Nairobi in an effort to unlock the stalemate that may affect the distribution of resources to counties. Mike Kagongo tells us more.
Speaking in Nairobi Wednesday morning, Council of Governors Vice Chairperson Ahmed Abdullahi, who doubles up as Wajir County Governor, accused the National Treasury of failing to build a consensus with the Commission on Revenue Allocation, CRA.
The budget ceilings for the MDS at the national level have not been rationalized to ensure that the key priority programs for the government, which are fully devolved, are allocated to counties in the equitable share of revenue.
The county chiefs are demanding a total of 425 billion shillings, an amount countered by the CRA, which recommended 407 billion shillings. The National Treasury on its part said it can only increase the current amount of 370 billion shillings to 380 billion shillings.
The council hereby reiterates its position of Kenya shillings 425 billion as the county equitable share of revenue for the financial year 2023-2024.
We have also disagreed with the position taken by the National Treasury because they are allocating themselves the functions of the Commission on Revenue Allocations.
The county bosses met Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua Wednesday afternoon in Nairobi in an effort to unlock the stalemate that may affect distribution of resources to counties. During a meeting on January 26 at Kenya School of Government, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua expressed optimism that a solution will be arrived at, saying a special team will be formed to help unlock the deadlock within a week.
We have agreed that the Council of Governors will constitute a small team to engage with the Salaries and Remuneration Commission with a view of coming up with an acceptable solution.
This was after the governors maintained the hardline position demanding the increment of the funds. He said that a technical team from Treasury, the COG and the CRA was agreed upon to streamline any areas on shareable revenue for the 2023-2024 financial year and submit a report in a week's time. Following the disagreement, the DP said that the county chiefs will soon meet with President William Ruto in a 2-day retreat in an effort to discuss the way forward as well as addressing the transfer of functions to counties.
Finally, there are many issues that we have been discussing for a long time over transfer of functions and resources to the counties that have not been achieved for a long time. To cure that, the President has agreed to hold the governors for a 2-day retreat early next month to discuss all those cross-cutting issues with a view of coming up with solutions.
During the consultative meeting, the National Treasury has not formed a basis for deviating from the recommendations by the CRA.
Finance, Planning and Economic Affairs Chairman Fernandez Baraza also raised the issue of pending bills, with most being accrued from previous administrations.
Looking at the delay in disbursement, it's going to be another upfront of pending bills come the end of the financial year. So the best way of managing the pending bills is to release resources on time so that come the end of the financial year, we don't have accumulated arrears, because definitely in the next financial year, we'll be having another conversation around pending bills.
Nairobi leads with the highest pending bills, both eligible and ineligible. Mike Kagwongo, TV 47, Nairobi.
Well, moving on, Kenya, Somalia, Djibouti and Ethiopia have agreed to join forces by rebuilding and modernizing Somalia's security forces to ensure that they are well prepared to contain the Al-Shabaab in a bid to restore peace and stability in the Al-Shabaab-prone areas of Somalia. President William Ruto, presenting the Somalia Frontline States Summit, called for a collective effort in combating terrorism in the Horn of Africa. And Moige William with the details.
President William Ruto Wednesday flew to Mogadishu to join his counterparts for the Somalia Frontline State Summit, where talks on regional efforts towards stabilization of Somalia and eradication of terrorism were top of the agenda. Also present were Djibouti President Ismail Omar Gule, Ethiopia Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, among other leaders hosted by Somalia President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud. President Ruto rallied his fellow leaders in the war against terrorism in the Horn of Africa, stating it is a collective effort where there is need to adopt a common strategy for combating terrorism and other associated criminality by dismantling terror networks and financial support infrastructure, adding, which must be complemented by countering radicalization and the propagation of extremism. It is during this meeting that Kenya, together with Somalia, Djibouti and Ethiopia, agreed to join forces in restoring peace and stability in the Al-Shabaab-prone areas of Somalia through a jointly planned and organized robust operational campaign, search and to destroy Al-Shabaab on multiple front lines as they aim to key strategic Al-Shabaab stronghold across the south and central Somalia. This meeting held in Mogadishu comes days after the East Africa Community EAC officially launched the verification mission to assess Somalia's readiness to join the regional bloc after the community said it was ready to welcome Somalia as a new member to the regional bloc following earlier unsuccessful request. This will not be the first joint operation to launch an assault against the Al-Shabaab. In 2007, the African Union mission to Somalia, AMISOM, was deployed to Somalia, where its first task was to push the extremist group out of the capital and create conditions in which the transitional federal government could operate. And in 2011, Kenya Defence Forces moved into the southern Somalia to pursue insurgent groups Al-Shabaab after a series of kidnapping of tourists along the border. And later in 2012, the Kenyan government under the command of the late former President Mwai Kibaki, the Kenyan troops were integrated into the AMISOM on February 22nd, 2012. During the summit, the heads of state also agreed to rebuild and modernize Somalia's security forces to ensure they are well prepared to contain the Al-Shabaab. Mwigi William, TV 47.
Now, leaders from Turkana County continue to condemn the government due to the increased cases of banditry attacks in the region. This comes just a day after suspected bandits attacked the area and even burned down a school. They say they want the government to give them protection since they surrendered arms that they used to defend themselves with.
Mheshimiwa Rais, tuoneshe sisi faida ya wale ambao tunatii sheria na kufuata mambo ya nchi ipasavyo. Sisi tulikubali wakati peaceful disarmament ilifanywa. Tukapeana bunduki zetu, tukaambiwa kwamba serikali italete usalama. Lakini kufikia sasa faida yetu ya kutii
are down. You can see the desks are nowhere to be seen, and even the infrastructure of the school to be returned. We also asked the government to put a GSU, to erect a GSU camp here so that we can see our students getting education and to learn in a safe and conducive environment.
The issue of insecurity, it's becoming a song and we are not seeing government acting. Professor Kindiki and the
parts of the counties, we have Baringo, we have Tiati, all of them are here. What are we supposed to do? We are not going to fight as Turkanas. We are not going to do anything as Turkanas. We are asking our government to come and intervene.
Tutafanya namna gani? Watu wasaidiwa namna gani? Tumekuwa tukingojea msaada wa serikali, ahadi ambayo ilikuwa inasema kwamba tutapewa bunduki za NPR. Mpaka leo hii hatujapata. Kwa hivyo sisi tutakaa namna gani?
Kuimba tumeimba tukilia. Sasa tungependa tu tuambiwe tujue hatima yetu. Tujitayarishe kama ni kufa tuve tukijua kifo kinakuja. Kwa sababu tunaamini serikali yetu, rais wetu
Well, moving on, the family of the late Christopher Mbote has finally agreed on where they will lay him to rest. Mbote, a billionaire from Juja town in Kiambu County, had two wives who were fighting to bury him. Mbote will be buried at the border of the two homesteads. Have a look.
This is one of the homesteads that belongs to the late Christopher Mbote. Land surveyors spent the better part of the day marking and hiving off portions of the gravesite that will be at the boundary of two homesteads belonging to the first and second wife. Initially, there was a conflict in the family over the burial site, as both his wives wanted to lay him to rest in their respective homesteads. Last week, Thika Chief Magistrate Stella Atambo directed that each of the families cede a small portion of land for gravesite.
Tumekubaliana penye baba atazikwa, na kwa sababu tulikuwa tunataka tu amani na venye tu kila mtu atapata nafasi ya ku-access kaburi. Sisi hatuna neno.
Ile
rule ama order yenye koti ilitoa imehakikishwa na imeimplementiwa.
Meanwhile, elders from the Agikuyu performed traditional rites and buried a banana stem in a grave that had been dug at the homestead of the first wife.
Leo tunaenda kutayarisha kaburi ya mzee Bote, lakini hatungetayarisha kaburi kulingana na desturi yetu ya Wakikuyu kama kuna kaburi ingine existing. So wazee wa Kiama, elders, wameamua kufanya ile maneno kidogo ya Wakikuyu, ndio at least hiyo spirit ya huyo mzee alikuwa ametayarishiwa hii isifuate familia.
And now the funeral committee is back to planning Mbote's send-off.
The committee ni mbili, but we hold consolidation meetings every evening to compare notes and and compile expenses. Tunashare expenses kwa nyumba mbili.
Kati ya hizi nyumba mbili kuna ka fence imegawanyisha hizi nyumba mbili. Lakini masolvea wameangalia wakaona although hiyo fence haiko katikati haswa, wamekubaliana iko pahali wameona hiyo kaburi ikiwekwa family zote mbili zitakuwa na access na wameridhika kwamba ikuwe hapo.
Mbote died on 16th January 2022. He has left behind 2 wives and 13 children. Sharon Baranga, TV47.
May they find peace at last. Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki has promised an increase in his resolve to fight against the illicit brews in the country at large and the central region in particular, which has now become a threat to national security. Speaking in Kiambu County, Kindiki said the war on illicit brews and drug abuse needs urgent action to save the future of this country. On his part, Kiamba constituency MP John Juguna called upon the county government to revoke all licenses of liquor shops.
Nimeorodhesha pombe haramu na miadarati kati ya mambo makuu, majanga makuu matatu ambao yanahatarisha usalama wa nchi yetu. Hii mambo ya pombe na miadarati iko katika hiyo orodha ya mambo matatu. There are 3 main challenges of a security nature that poses a great danger to our country's future. The continued threat of attacks by terrorists. That we must continue being alert. The northern part of the country, the problem of banditry and livestock rustling. What is going on there is not just insecurity. It's a big threat to our country's future stability. Ambao wameingia katika nchi yetu kinyume na sheria. Hao watu watafutwe, wapelekwe pale mahakamani ili tutoe orders ya kuwarudisha.
Interior CS Kithure Kindiki right there talking about the government's plans to curb illicit brews, a problem that now has morphed into a national security issue. And of course, that issue has elicited a lot of mixed reactions with some Kenyans and stakeholders in the liquor industry saying that probably the way the government is handling the issue could cause more problems other than really curb the problem. But that is a matter that will remain, it's a wait-and-see situation. Now, 8 suspects linked with the fraudulent tendering of Karatina Market were yesterday charged before the Nakuru Anti-Corruption Court. The 8, who include former and current county employees, are alleged to have engaged in irregularities of 7.9 million shillings in the construction of the shed in Menengai East. Now, Edith Kimani, Jackson Maingi, Edith Wangari, Jen Joki, and John Murage were released on a 600,000 shillings bond, a surety of the same amount, or pay an alternative cash bail of 300,000. Nixon Kibet, Ann Jerry, and Florence Onjiku were released on a 200,000 shillings bond, a surety of a similar amount, or an alternative cash bail of 100,000 shillings. Have a look.
here alongside Mr. Owino.
On his mind, I'll press the watch it.
Jeremiah Maroko, Section 5, Section 2B, as Section 1 of the Corruption and Economic Crimes Act No. 3, 2003, John Murage Wanjiru and Lady Contractor Limited. The offense is fraudulent acquisition of public property contrary to Section 45, Subsection 1A, as Section 48, Subsection 1 of the Act. 10, Jackson 93, 2003, on the 14th day of December 2018 at the EACC Nakuru offices.
We don't wish to urge the board to take into account that these are public servants and be lenient in setting the bail terms.
I do admit the accused persons to bond on following terms. For the 1st, 4th, 8th, 9th, and 10th accused persons, they are granted a bond of 600,000 with a surety each, or cash bail of 300,000 each. For the 5th, 6th, and 7th accused persons, they are granted bond of 200,000 with a surety each, or cash bail 100,000 each.
Well, at 28 minutes past the hour, time now for a very, very short break. Don't go away. We'll be back with more.
Are you looking for a distinguished institution of academic and professional excellence to kickstart your career? Then join KIPS Technical College, a top-NEC, CASNEB and NEET examination center in Kenya that is fully accredited by TVET Authority with over 90% national exam pass rate. We offer high-quality, hands-on training in engineering, hospitality, tourism, journalism, ICT, business, accounting, hairdressing and beauty, health sciences, community development and foreign language, and have placed over 26,000 graduates since 1994. Our state-of-the-art equipment, well-equipped workshops, indoor and outdoor sports facilities make us the preferred choice.
During my training, I was able to become Miss KIPS, which has helped me to achieve my goals in community development.
Admissions for January 2023 intake is ongoing. For more information, call 0720-813-113 or visit any of our 6 campuses located within Nairobi. KIPS Technical College, your sure path to success.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Trisent School of Medical Health Science and Technology is a premier training institute for market-driven courses. With state-of-the-art facilities, competent and dedicated members of staff, and linkages with the medical industry, you are assured of a bright future when you study with us. Enroll today in our campuses at Juja, Nairobi West, Kisumu, and Homa Bay.
Usienda nayo huko ndani, unaacha hapo kwa luggage ndio uingie.
Ni wacho kwa luggage namna gani nataka kutumia huko ndani? Nimekuja na hii gani ndio inatumika? Hii paketi ama hii kuchota? Kwani serious hii? Bwana wacheni mchezo bwana. Nini?
Karibu customer. Hizi bidhaa unaziacha pale kwenye luggage ndipo sasa ufanye shopping kwa supermarket yetu. Kuchota ni kufanya shopping pekee.
Ni kufanya shopping.
Raundi hii Supermarket ndio best. Kwa mara nyingine Inakuletea chota kuchota na Hetia Supermarket. Ushiriki shindano la chota kuchota Bunawe, Kitale, Bungoma, Eldoret, Kakamega, Kisumu, Busia, Naivasha, Limuru, Nairobi, Thika, Nyeri, Meru, Chuka na Maua. Nunua bidhaa ya shilingi 600 na zaidi na utapewa raffle ticket. Jaza vizuri na utumbukize kwa sanduku iliyo mlangoni. Utakuwa umeingia kwa draw ya kujishindia zawadi Daihatsu Mira, pikipiki 21 aina ya TVS, 1130 school fees, TVS, shopping vouchers na vingine vingi.
Basi, ni huku. Saidia bibi.
Chota kuchota imethaminiwa na Louis Bacon, Savannah Juice Fruit Vial, My Choice Hand Wash, Zesta Choco Primo, Ketepa, Blue Band, Aramco, Oven Fresh Bread, Nivea, Silent Night Mattresses, Coca-Cola pamoja na Hisense. Shindano hili limeidhinishwa na BCLB permit number 002816. Sheria na masharti kutumika.
Chota kuchota na Hetia Supermarket, na hii motokaa kari smart kabisa inaweza kuwa yako. Unangoja nini? Ingia, fanya shopping yako Hetia Supermarket, uchota kuchote na hii kari. Hii motokaa inaweza kuwa yako. Mtu anaweza pesa kwa buti.
Hetia Supermarket, a world of choice.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. The Meteorological Department now says the drought situation in ASAL regions is expected to get worse before it gets better. This as the government through the Ministry of Water now plans to ensure that more of the people in the north get water. Collins Lusweti with more.
Latest statistics by National Drought Management indicate that 4.3 million people are faced with hunger in arid and semi-arid lands in the country, with 942,000 children acutely malnourished. 134,000 pregnant and lactating women are also acutely malnourished and need treatment. Governors from the region say the situation is dire.
The time is not on our side. We are facing a ravaging drought. Our people are staring at death because of lack of their livelihoods. Most of the animals have been decimated.
The Kenya Meteorological Department has already sent a warning to Kenyans to brace for 2 long months of extreme heat, with temperatures remaining abnormally high until early March. The volume of water in Lake Olbolsalat in Nyandarua County has dropped at an alarming rate to almost zero. The weatherman is now warning that arid counties such as Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, Isiolo and Marsabit counties that have recorded temperatures as high as 40 degrees Celsius will experience the worsening in drought situation. The warning by the weatherman comes on the backdrop of ravaging drought in 25 counties listed by the National Drought and Management Authority (NDMA) in its January 2023 drought bulletin. In what appears to be a step in addressing the situation, the government has launched a 15 billion water project with World Bank as the main sponsor, a project dubbed the Horn of Africa Groundwater for Resilience, with more than 400 boreholes set to be constructed and others rehabilitated.
What you are launching today is life-changing for us in FCDC. I speak for FCDC. FCDC is an economic bloc, Frontier Counties Development Council, 10 counties in number. I'm very happy 5 of the 10 are beneficiaries of this program.
The Cabinet Secretary for Water and Irrigation, Alice Wahome, has assured Kenyans that the project will be a success, sending a warning to all planning to misuse the funds. The Cabinet Secretary says similar projects have failed in the past because of misuse of resources.
As a ministry, we do not want to waste any single day, because the challenge we have on resilience, the climate change, the drought situation calls upon all of us to throw away bureaucracy, no time waste, and deal with the issue of implementation. Then we can talk about other small issues later. What brings us here today is to launch this program in terms of implementation, because the program started 2 years ago.
When put to task to explain the status of the 100 dams promised by the Kenya Kwanza government, the Cabinet Secretary says the government is at the designing stages, with full list of the 100 dams expected in a month's time.
We are here as a government And I believe we will be able to implement, to come up with the 100 dams. We have already identified, and we are working on the documentation to ensure that whenever we now identify which particular one we will implement, we are able to move very quickly. We are in the design stages.
Moving on, police in Nzoia County are holding two suspects in relation to the murder of a lady whose body was dumped in a ditch along Kolongolo-Kitale Highway in Namanjalala Shopping Center. Our reporter Isaac Famba visited the scene and filed the following report.
It is at this scene that locals of Namanjalala were woken up of shocking news of the murder and a dumping of a young lady's body identified as Diana Chebet, who hails from the area. According to Cedric Muhanga, who is the father to the deceased, his late daughter's body was discovered by the school-going children after she left their homestead to return to her matrimonial home in neighboring Bidii area.
Kwa hivyo alipotoweka jioni saa moja, mimi nikajua anaenda kwake Bidii. Nimekuwa nikipumzika, nikasikia mwili imechoka, nimekaa, nimelala tu. Hata asubuhi hii mama ananipigia simu ananiambia kwamba ati mtoto amepatikana kwa mtaro. Nikamuuliza, yani hakuenda Bidii? Ati mtoto wako kwa mtaro huko ameaka.
The incident has shocked the locals, who have expressed their fear of the brutal way the late met her death, saying that she was a silent woman who never picked quarrels with anybody. The locals asking the relevant authority to bring to book the killers so that justice prevail.
Tumepewa habari na watoto wa kwanza ambao wanaenda shule kwamba kuna mwili umepatikana hapa. Na wakati tumekuja kutazama ni mtu ambaye tunamfahamu. Kwa hivyo ni pigo kwetu. Na tunaomba vyombo vya dola, serikali yetu itusaidie.
Hata kama wanasema kuna maaskari wanafanya patrol, usalama yenye iko hapa iko chini kabisa. Kwa sababu ona kama huyu msichana hana maneno na mtu, anauliwa, hana chochote ambacho anatafutwa nacho. Tafadhali tunaomba usaidizi mkubwa kutoka kwa serikali, ambao wenzetu wenye wanafanya vitendo kama hivi tuwe nao pamoja na serikali itusaidie kabisa.
The locals have complained over insecurity in the area, asking for thorough investigation to unearth those behind the heinous killing to end the series of murder in the area.
Mimi ni mwana bodaboda na mara nyingi mimi hupenda kutoka late. Sasa imekuwa mwendo wa saa 5 nikitoka town. Nikapata vijana hapa kwa hii kioski ambako anaoshia mapikipiki. Vijana walikuwa ni harass, walitaka waingize mpini kwa pikipiki. Mimi nikaangalisha kwa mmoja. Then wakanibrush na mpini. Ala pale mimi nikabahatika nikapita. So nilishindwa walikuwa na mpango gani. Then kutoka pale sielewi, kumbe kuna kitu kilikuwa kimefanyika nyuma yake. Hayo masaa ya saa 5.
Isaac Famba, TV47, Nzoia County.
Our Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, has called upon prosecutors to grip the cooperation among themselves and make it easier to tame the undying crime within the African continent that is easily mutating with technological trends. Speaking while presiding over the closing ceremony of the 16th Annual General Meeting and Conference of African Prosecutors Association in Mombasa, Wetangula has also stated that there is a need of prosecutors being competent by carrying out thorough investigations to ensure that innocent people are not charged for what they did not do.
Now we live in a global village, as we call it, and crimes committed 10,000-15,000 kilometers away from us affect us directly. But we must start by dealing with issues African. In the quest for justice, there is always two sides: the justice for the complainant, justice for the victim. So as prosecutors, you also walk a tightrope and the narrow path of ensuring that those who seek justice and those who are victims of those seeking justice must be balanced in our approach so that we don't trample on any human rights. Equally important is that society is not safe simply because we are prosecuting those who commit crimes. It will be even safer if we educate the population on the pitfalls of crime so that we avoid falling into criminal activities. Prevention is always better than cure.
Now, the increase in cancer prevalence could be as a result of an increase in cancer diagnosis across the country. This is according to experts who say the country needs to encourage early diagnosis among Kenyans as a way of reducing the number of cancer-related deaths. Tomorrow, the country will be hosting the National Cancer Summit that aims at taking stock of the cancer response 10 years after the enactment of the Cancer Prevention and Control Act of 2012.
According to the Globocan statistics, every year there are around 40,000 plus cases are detected, and it causes around 27 to 30,000 cases mortality every year. Okay, so that the recent rise in the cases could be it may be contributed to. Now we have more diagnostic tools. Okay, the more cancers are detected. Earlier, maybe the cancers were not detected. They were the people used to die without treatment, without diagnosis. Also, because of the current lifestyle, these are lifestyle diseases. Okay, due to sedentary life, unhealthy foods, unhealthy lifestyle, mainly the poisons like agriculture pesticides, more use of them, as well as alcohol, smoking, okay, obesity. These are the causes. Like there is the incidence of cancer is more now.
Now, 2 people have been arrested at Masosa area in Kisii Town, Kitutu Central Ward, with 6 sacks of cannabis sativa worth 60,000 shillings in street value. The 2 were apprehended by Kisii County Deputy Commander during a crackdown after receiving a tip from residents of Nyakumisaro, Masosa village. Police say the suspects will be arraigned at the Kisii Law Courts tomorrow. Cases of drug abuse have been reported to be on the rise in Kisii County.
In the morning, officers from Kisii Central Police Station, acting on a tip-off from members of the public, raided a house where whatever you have seen, that is sativa cannabis, that is bang, the local language bangi, were recovered. When or after gaining entrance into the building or the house, 2 suspects were arrested whom we believe to be the owners. We have been informed by teachers from schools around that students, when they are on weekend or holidays, they go to such places and engage themselves in the use of the drugs.
Well, time now for the latest in the world of business. Let's do some business. The British government will continue funding entrepreneurs in providing support for Sasa Kazi program. Now, the program is meant to empower youth and link them with mentors. I was speaking in Eldoret town where the UK High Commissioner, in Kenya, Jane Marriott, said Sasa Kazi has so far received 23.1 million shillings in phase 1. The project started in 2020 as digital apprenticeship program and has reached at least 200 junior tech professionals.
The UK has been supporting the programme that's now known as Sasa Kazi, Work Now, for 2 or 3 years now. So we've put about 23.1 million shillings to support the training of young tech entrepreneurs, matching them with mentors and helping get them into businesses. Sasa Kazi, and Sasa Kazi essentially takes and trains young tech entrepreneurs. It matches them with mentors, it places them in businesses, and I'm delighted to say that there is a 90% success rate.
We have several young people who've gotten even jobs, including even getting international jobs. One is employed at Lunchbox. We've seen different organizations recruiting from the Sasa Kazi platform, which started as a digital apprenticeship program. But we've also seen counties wanting the junior tech professional to be able to support the digital transformation of their counties.
The reality is that the future is technology and the future is today. So the sooner we are able to take advantage of technology and be able to invest heavily in digital skills, the better.
Now, Kenyans using Kenya's standard gauge railway will be forced to pay using electronic means to boost efficiency of the Kenya railways. Now, the company issued a notice saying that it will no longer accept cash in purchase of tickets at all Madaraka Express passenger service stations. Travelers will be required to use M-Pesa or debit or credit cards for the services. The Chinese-built railway has boosted Kenya's economic growth, and also the number of passengers has risen. Well, that's all we had for you from the business world. Time now to cross over to the world of sports. JKUAT Assassins registered a 62-point victory over Githurai Cheetahs in the inaugural Kabaddi League match played at the Kasarani Indoor Arena. JKUAT dominated the match, securing a 12-point victory as Machakos University registered a 7-point victory after beating National Youth Service 50-43, while the Kasarani Lions fell to 31-40 against Black Falcons. Speaking after the game, the league founder Laventa Aguta explained that the league is expected to be entertaining and called upon sponsors to come forward and sponsor the local Kabaddi League.
Steps forward, Francis Dennis with the stretch. I mean, he needs to be careful with Samuel Rafula in pursuit. I mean, look at that, only 4 defenders on the floor. With that, I mean, he just came on as a substitute. Look at his confidence, and yes, touch point there. Very good job by looking for that bonus. It's a 3-point difference here.
Now, Clifton Miheso scored a brace as Kenya Police thrashed 2008 champions Mathare United 5-0 in the 13th round of the FKF Premier League match played at the Moi Sports Centre, Kasarani. Police took the lead inside 12 minutes of play through Miheso's strike before completing his brace 5 minutes to the interval as Elvis Rupia and Duke Kabuya scored the 3rd and 4th goals respectively before Clifton added the 5th to wrap the 5-0 victory for Police. Elsewhere, AFC Leopards registered a 1-0 victory against struggling Vihiga Bullets, while Talanta defeated Wazito 3-0 at the Muhoroni Youth Stadium.
Mimi nitasema matokeo yanatoka mbali. So wachezaji wangu nafikiri baada ya kazi ngumu na always naweza sema mazoezi yamekuwa magumu na paka naonea huruma sometimes, but ni huwa naambia kuwa vile mechi zimepangana inabidi wavumilie na waweze kufanya yale tunataka. Sisi kama benchi nashukuru mazo support ya benchi wamenipa ndio napata matokeo yanapatikana haya. Amna, mi kila siku sema cheza mechi moja uangalie na ukuja. So siwezi sema kuwa napigania ubingwa saizi. Situali. Mimi kitu nasema ni manake tumepoteza michezo mitatu ambapo tunataka tuifanyie kazi tuerikave hiyo. Ambao ukiangalia kuna timu zilizo juu pale ambao wanawapongeza pia, manake imekuwa ni ligi imekuwa tough, na ukijaribu kuangalia imekuwa tough na imekuwa pia inachosha. Maana ukiangalia mechi za ndani ya wiki alafu mechi za weekend inapata vijana pia wanachoka. Sisi kama benchi nasema kuwa ushirikiano wetu na wachezaji inatupa matokeo ama mechi zinakuwa rahisi.
FKF Premier League club Vihiga Bullets has pleaded for the well-wishers to show up and support the club. The club has been struggling since the beginning of the season and gave a walkover in their matchday 12 fixture against Sofapaka before falling to a 1-0 defeat against AFC Leopards. The team had been stranded at the Nyao National Stadium after their away fixture against AFC Leopards. Speaking after their match, the team's head coach, that is George Walker, appealed for the support.
Difficult for us even to continue like this because we are really facing it very rough. First of all, unaona hata hii trip ilikuwa one way, watu wa mama mboga na watu wa bodaboda ndio walichangia wakapata pesa kidogo ya one way. Hata saizi hatujui vile tutarudi nyumbani. Hata kukula lunch ilikuwa shida because vijana walikunywa tu chai na wakavumilia ndio tukakuja hii game. Because tulienda ona tena tukizidi kupeana walkover itakuwa very rough for us. So mimi naomba tu sana kama kuna mtu anaweza jitokelezea, hata ikiwa federation kama wanaweza hata kutukopesa ka kitu kidogo, tuone venye tunaweza kuona hizo magame zingine zile ambazo zimebaki. I have the best team that can challenge any team in Kenya Premier League. What I'm lacking, it's only the motivation and also to ensure that tunapata something that inaweza push the team because we are now running the team at zero balance. Sisi pia tunajaribu yetu yote. Unaona hata vijana wanaonesha wanaweza, lakini hata saizi wakitoka hapa hatujui tutafika nyumbani, na wakifika nyumbani wataenda kwao vipi, because kama juzi hata tulitoka Nzoia, gari lituacha Kakamega, wengine vijana wakangangana kuona vile wanafika kwao nyumbani. Na mimi nashukuru hao vijana wangu wako na team spirit, wamefightia hii team kabisa, because ingekuwa watu wengine hata vijana wa Nairobi wengi wangekuwa washakimbia wameacha team. Kwa hii situation wangekuwa washaenda.
Now, preparations for Sirikwa Classic Tour Gold are in high gear ahead of Saturday's event at Lobo Village, as athletes from over 30 countries are expected to grace the event, battling for the top honors. Speaking during the preparations, Athletic Kenya officials said that the event will be full of excitement as it is the first one in the continent, adding that in the next 2 days, all will be set for the event. The winner of the 10-kilometer race will take home 6 million shillings.
In Africa, just like the Kipkeno Classic, Continental Tour Gold was held in Nairobi here, was also one of the first ones in Kenya, and we have shown as a country that we are able to organize first-class events, and also the venue, the place, and the excitement from the people is also at a higher level compared to other countries.
Eldoret, and especially this Lobo Village, is 2,100 meters above the sea level. So it's very high. So that alone is also an obstacle.